morning, this is Mrs. Bright. Today we are going to review all the strategies we learned in class over poetry. What can we do to truly understand what the author has intended to say? The deeper meaning. I chose a poem that I love, and I know some of you have already read this poem, so whether it is new to you or a poem you have read before, this lesson will help you remember strategies you can use, questions you can ask yourself, devices to look for, all of the things that will make this and every poem come to life. And my own kids, Cameron, Karsten, and Kaden, have special parts in this video. So, are you ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, poetry. This video is intended to set the stage for success and understanding as you read poems. And hopefully you'll have a lot of strategies that you can use so that you can understand the author's intended message. The first thing before reading the poem is to look at the title and try to guess what the poem might be about. Make some predictions. The poem that we're actually going to read is The Rose That Grew from Concrete. I wonder what that means. What is this poem going to be about? The rose that grew from concrete.
How weird it might be to see a rose growing out of concrete. How to get flowers to grow? What dirt is best? Maybe a rose is easy to grow.
The poem might be talking about how a famous person got famous.
Those are all really great predictions. Let's read the poem and find out. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's law is wrong, it learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared. Now we're going to look at the poem line by line or stanza by stanza, depending on your poem, and you're going to write down what it means in your own words. You're going to paraphrase. I'm pretty stoked about that, aren't you? Okay, the first lines we're going to paraphrase are, did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? The first thing that we need to realize is that there's a difference between the literal meaning of the author's words and the figurative meaning of those words. And this particular poem has a lot of figurative language. So figurative language is when a writer describes something by comparing it to something else. And in examples of ways that an author can do that is through the use of metaphors, similes, hyperboles, oxymorons. I think you get the idea. In these particular lines, did you hear about the rose? We see that the rose is really symbolizing the rose, the literal meaning. The figurative meaning is that the rose is being compared to Tupac or anyone who has faced difficulties. And then it talks about that grew from a crack in the concrete. So the crack is actually the chance or opportunity to do more than what was expected of him. So when I look at these lines, did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? And I know that rose means Tupac, or someone who's been in a bad situation. And I know that crack means the opportunity that he had to succeed. Then I can paraphrase what those lines mean in my own words. Did you hear about a person who didn't have a lot of potential but found a way to be successful? The next lines that we're going to paraphrase are proving nature's law is wrong. It learned to walk without having feet. Nature's law. I know the literal meaning of that, but figuratively, what is Tupac saying? He's saying nature's law is society's expectations, what people think he should be able to do. We also, in those two lines, we talk about walking without having feet. What does he mean by that? He means that there's no one to help him. He's on his own. If he's going to be successful, it's up to him. So in my own words, when I paraphrase those lines, I say, he proved everyone wrong and had success without support from others. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. So learning to breathe fresh air, the literal meaning, breathing fresh air, and the figurative meaning is the ability to succeed. So in my own words, I would paraphrase these lines by saying, when you don't give up on your dreams, you will find success. And the last lines, long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared. And in my own words, I would say, we can never stop dreaming or reaching for our goals, even when there was no one to help us. And that's why I'm on my soapbox over there. Because if we work hard enough and we work toward our goals and our dreams, then we can reach them if we work hard enough, even if there's no one to help us along the way. The next thing to do is to look for devices. Look through the poem for examples of figurative language, imagery, or powerful words and phrases. Why are they significant and how do they add to the poem? The first one we're going to talk about is symbolism, and we've already talked about that a lot between the literal meaning and the figurative meaning. So first off, Tupac is being compared to a rose. We also see personification in this poem, which is giving human-like qualities to a non-human thing. Learn to walk without having feet is an example of personification. Also, it learned to breathe fresh air. Another device is alliteration. Alliteration is the first consonant sound being repeated within a poem. Crack in the concrete, the rose that, long live, and walk without. The next thing we're going to look at is the attitude. How does the poet feel about the topic of the poem? What can you tell based on the language they used? By using words like "did you hear?" and "proving nature's laws wrong," the author feels that his accomplishments mean something. His ability to be successful should be rejoiced. Long live the person who achieves their goals. The theme. What is the theme of the poem? What message was the author trying to convey? The poet feels successful because he was able to reach his ambitious goals without support from others. He wants to share his story to inspire others that might be in the same position that he was. I think that's a pretty good theme, to inspire others that they can accomplish their dreams and their goals no matter what their circumstances. Now that you've really looked at the poem, does it take on a new meaning? Write down the deeper meaning of this title.
It wasn't talking about just a rose. It was talking about how no obstacles can keep you from reaching your goals.
The poem was not talking about which dirt is best. It was talking about how we can overcome our life's circumstances to rise to any challenge put in our way.
This poem was talking about a famous person, but it was much more than that. It talked about Tupac and his hardships and how he rose to success, but it is also implied that I can be successful too. If I work hard, I can be a rose in concrete too.
Great job, students. I'm so proud of you, and I think that we learned a lot by reading Tupac's poem, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. We not only learned that we can overcome life's obstacles, but we also learned many strategies that we can use as we read different poems.